Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now this is the grossiest, most disgusting looking bowl blank I have ever seen. It's got bits missing, there's mould all over it. I don't think it's been stored in quite the ideal conditions. But anyway, we're going to turn this into a beautiful festive bowl by giving it an inlay. Now we're going to use this iridescent tinsel. I've never used anything like this before, so it's going to be interesting, and I'm not quite sure if it's going to work, but go on, let's find out together. Okay, now because we've got this big hole out the side, it's not going to be quite as well balanced as we would normally hope. So I'm just going to use tailstock support at the start until we get moving, and then we can take it away. Now this is field maple, so it has potentially got some nice grain in there, but we've got some spalting, so we'll see what it's like underneath all this mess. I've sharpened up, so we'll get cracking. Under normal circumstances, it would be nice to kind of leave this in as a bit of an effect, but as we're going for a different style of bowl, this is definitely going to have to go. But the grain's looking nice. I've got most of the bounce issues out, so I can take away the tailstock support now, so I can get in closer to the centre. Okay, we're pretty near to the shape we want to be. There's a couple of bits of issues with little bits of tear out, but nothing to really worry us. So I'm just going to do a quick resharpen, and I'll put some finishing cuts on this outside, and then we'll make the recess for the bowl. Okay, that's pretty much got rid of all the major tear out issues. Not that there was an awful lot, but it's leaving this absolutely beautiful grain in there. Now part of me, as this is a festive bowl, wants to put just a bit of colour on there, maybe a red or something. I wonder. Right, I'll put the recess in while I'm thinking. Okay, right, let's sand this up, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do, if I'm going to colour or not. Right, we're up to 400, and I am going to colour it. If I don't like it, then I'll just sand it back a bit, but I am going to colour it. Right, I'm going to use a red dye because I think this will look fantastic with the wood. It's this is the Chestnut's Intrinsic Colour Spirit Stain, and it works absolutely beautifully. As you can see, you can still see the grain through it, so we're not doing anything horrible to the grain, we're just enhancing it. I'll let this dry, and I'll come back and put another coat on. What I should do, I'll just go over it again. Right, we'll let that dry. Sorry, we'll let that dry, and then we'll get it sealed. I've got a clear cellulose sealer to put over the top, and once this is on, we'll go on with with the Yorkshire grit, just to make it a little bit smoother. I'll buff this in. Right, now we can go on with the Yorkshire grit. Hello. Right, clean it off with isopropyl. Okay, now we're going to put on, I think, 2 coats at least of Hampshire sheen. Just one more coat of wax, I think. That's the finish. Wow. Okay. Right, let's get this off, turn it round, and get this inlay started. That's quite a difference, isn't it? Before, after. Before. I'm going to use tailstock support at the start. Put a face mask on and turn the extraction because the mould in this is just horrible. That was just horrible. There was just a whole layer of mould from possibly the spalting. That's what it certainly seemed like. Right, I'll make a judgment now where I'm going this inlay. I want a reasonable width because I want to make a nice impact from this tinsel. I think that should do it. Right, I'm going to cut this out. That's a reasonable depth, I feel, for this. I've got slightly deeper on the outside because I do want maybe to curve this out a little bit so it catches more light, but I don't want to go too deep. Right, I'm going to sand the bottom of this. Oh, hang on, I've got a knot there which can, I have to go a bit wider because I've got a knot there and that'll totally throw things off if I don't get rid of that. Okay, that's good. I'm going to sand this and then I'm going to seal it because there's always a chance of the resin going through the wood, so I'll sand it up and then put some sealer on it, and then we can get ready to pour in the inlay material. Actually, should I finish the bowl first? Alright, I'll do the bowl in a second, but I'll still sand this first. Excellent, right, now we'll do the bowl. Beautiful. Right, seal. Then we're going to start the inlay. Right, I'll set up for the inlay and I'll bring you back in a second. Right, we seem to have got everything we need. We've got jugs, mixing jugs, something to cut my tinsel into. The resin's all ready. Hasn't been mixed yet, but it's ready. So the first thing I have to do is decide what size bits we're going to cut off this tinsel. I've got two different types. There's a thicker one and a thinner one. Now the thicker one, it looks like it could bend easily. It may start sticking out, but I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. So one thing I'm going to do is just start chopping it and just see how it sits in the bowl. I've been umming and ahhing about the size that I want to cut from here. You know, do I do long ones, short ones? But I've kind of decided at the end to just have a bigger mix as possible, because the one thing I don't want to do is have gaps around the edge where you can see the wood through it, because I made them too big. So I want a good selection. I'm not quite sure exactly how much I'm going to need. So when you're not sure, do way too much. I wouldn't normally be doing this on my workbench, but my workbench is absolutely covered with wood blanks and all sorts, so I'm doing it over here for the moment. We did off the long one. We'll do the same to the short one. Let's move this to one side for a second. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? No matter what happens. Right, I'll mix up some. You come out there. I'll mix up some resin. Now I'm going to mix this by volume. So the ratio I need between the two is 2 to 1. So I'm going to measure 100 grams of this one. And I'm going to add 50 grams of the hardener. And we mix these together. Now I've had some thoughts on the best way of introducing this and this into the bowl. And the questions are, do I put this in the inlay first and then pour the resin on top? Do I put this in the resin and then pour it all in? Or do I mix the two? Not quite sure. I think first instance I'm going to try and put as much of this material as I can in here and then pour it into the bowl. It may not be the ideal way, but I think it's the best chance we've got to be a success. I've been finding this stuff everywhere for weeks. Right. Wow, that's weird. Time to do that. Right, as ready as we're going to be. I can see the wood at the bottom of that area there, so I'm going to have to try and isolate some bits of tinsel. Make sure it's all as packed as possible. I was right in one way, it's going to be messy. I think I'll just go around just trying to get out as much as the tinsel as possible without adding too much resin. It's very hard to introduce the tinsel by itself without adding a load of resin. An extraordinary thing. I'm just going to try and eyeball any gaps and just try and even this out as much as possible. I think there's bound to be bits that I've missed because everything's sparkling around so much. It really is quite hard to see exactly what's going on. I'm just going to try and get this resin off here. I'm getting close to the edge. I don't want to refinishing the outside, but if I don't have to, that would be fantastic. Well, I think this is going to be a case of wait and see. Right, I'll go and clean up this mess. And we'll come back in a few days and either start again or carry on. It really is one of those cases. Okay, we're back on the lathe. It's been a few days since we did the pour. It's still very, very hard to tell exactly how well this has worked, but I guess we're going to find out in a second. So I'm just going to turn back this top part with probably with the carbide, and then we'll see what we've got. Okay, we're nearly at the same level all the way around. I'm just going to start putting this slight curve in that I wanted, just so it slopes down away to the outside. It's starting to look like a Christmas tree. Okay, well, we've got a slight curve. We'll start cleaning up the inside now. Beautiful. There's a couple of marks there, but I can get that with sanding, that's not a problem. Right. I'm getting excited now. This may actually work. Right, I'm going to start sanding. I'll let you watch the start, but then I'll bring you back when we've got it all sorted. Okay, we've got to a nice high grit. Time to clean this off with a bit of isopropyl and a bit of air blowing. When I put the isopropyl on, it kind of gives a good idea of how this inlay is going to look. before we get it polished up finally. Ooh, sparkly. We'll let that dry off, and then I think we colour it again. Right, you can see me colour the outside, so I'll not let you sit around for 2 coats. We'll just get started, and then I'll bring you back when it's dry. Okay, we've got that dry, so we'll put the sealer on, buff it in, and then go on with Yorkshire grit. I'm going to use normal Yorkshire grit on the bowl all over, and then we go with the extra fine on the inlay. Just give it a quick clean with isopropyl, then I'll do the outer bit with the extra fine. At the start of the video, when I put the first colour on, I said it was chestnut's intrinsic colour spirit stain, but of course it's just chestnut's spirit stain. Intrinsic colour is a trademark of another type of stain. Now straight on with the Yorkshire grit extra fine, just to give a nicer polish this outside. Another clean off with isopropyl. Then we can put the final finish on. Oh wow, that's really starting to sparkle. Last but not least is the Hampshire sheen. If you're interested in any of the products that I use, there are links in my description below. We get a small kickback from these, but it's not much, but it all helps. We'll buff this in, start on a slower speed. Right, well, we'll take this off the lathe and see what we've done. Right, are you ready for it? There it is. I am so pleased with the way that inlay came out. When you're trying something with a new material, you're never quite sure exactly how it's going to work, but that is just sparkly. I think that's the best way I can describe it. There's a beautiful grain in this field maple bowl. I knew maple is always generally nice, but there's some absolutely fantastic figure in it. Just looking around here. I mean, I know at the start the bowl wasn't much to look at. It was covered in grot and mould and all sorts, but I think we've managed to tame the beast into something quite beautiful. Right, well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, a subscribe, and if you leave a comment below, then you're going to get into the competition for a bowl giveaway when we get to 2,500 subscribers. So anyway, I'm going to go and show this to my wife, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.